Hey, how's everyone doing? Today we're going to talk about this really fun dark comedy film, about a couple who find an antique teapot with strange powers. This teapot gives them money every time they feel pain. So John and Alice, a young newlywed couple, are facing financial problems. John works as an insurance operator but is struggling to get clients. Alice, a kind-hearted wife, really wants to help John, but she's also failing to find a job. They're almost bankrupt, even behind on rent. One day, Alice ran into the annoying landlord's son who came to collect the rent. After paying the rent, their bank account was in the negatives. That night, they went to a school reunion and saw their successful and happy friends. Feeling insecure in their casual clothes, they were fortunate to chat with some old friends and confide in them about their problems. The important thing is they got free drinks and could have a good time at the party. John and Alice woke up with headaches, empty fridge and growling stomachs. They decided to head to the city for shopping. While driving on the outskirts, their car was hit by a truck at the intersection. Luckily they were unharmed, but their car was damaged. As they waited for the police, they spotted an antique store on the roadside. Alice was immediately drawn to a unique brass teapot. She entered the store and found the teapot stored in a special room. When the store owner was on the phone, Alice grabbed the teapot and told John to run. John was shocked. "Why are you stealing it?" But Alice didn't care. She said the teapot was too beautiful to resist. Back at home, Alice was on the phone applying for jobs and straightening her hair. Distracted, she accidentally burned her forehead with the hair straightener. Suddenly the teapot started vibrating, and when Alice checked, there was $200 inside. Alice immediately thought, "Does this teapot vibrate when I'm in pain?" She playfully burned her forehead again, and the teapot vibrated once more, this time yielding $700. Crazy! Curiosity piqued, Alice kicked a chair and hit a shelf in the kitchen. The teapot continued to vibrate. The more pain she felt, the more money came out. But at the same time, John was fired from his job due to his declining performance. John came home to find his house in disarray. There was a hammer and bloodstains. He immediately panicked, thinking Alice had been kidnapped by robbers. Upon entering, he saw Alice lying on the floor, her body covered in wounds. But Alice was calm and said, "I'm fine, really." At that moment, John shared his job loss and promised to find a new job to support them. Suddenly, Alice slapped John and showed him a huge pile of money. She explained that the teapot could give them money if they hurt themselves. John still couldn't believe it, but Alice promptly hit John's leg, and the teapot immediately dispensed a large sum of money. But John started feeling like something was off. Easy money always comes with consequences. He decided to take the teapot while Alice was asleep, intending to return it to the antique store. However, he discovered that the store had already closed. Desperate, he took the teapot to the TV show Cash or Trash, but the host only offered $5,000. Meanwhile, a collector named Dr. Ling observed the events. He had a map with numerous markings on it. John came back home and got scolded by Alice for taking her beloved teapot. After a heated argument, they agreed to stop using the teapot once they had acquired a few $1,000,000. They began injuring themselves in unique ways, visiting the dentist, getting tattoos, waxing, and even doing something unconventional in bed. After accumulating hundreds of thousands of dollars, John and Alice's lives improved. It wasn't just about the money, but also their overall mood. Their lives were like a dream, but suddenly two men dressed as rabbis showed up at their house. They beat up John and asked about the teapot. They claimed it was passed down from their ancestors through generations, but suddenly went missing. Alice panicked, quickly hiding the teapot under a pillow, and lied that it had been sold. The rabbis demanded the money from the teapot sale, but Alice managed to deceive them. She immediately took money from the teapot as John was being beaten by the rabbis, and the rabbis fled. John and Alice started to worry, becoming curious about the origins of the teapot. They went to the library, and Alice discovered that the teapot dated back to the 1st and 2nd centuries AD. But when Alice saw the section about the consequences of owning the teapot, she immediately tore out the pages before John could read them. They continued to luxuriate in their newfound wealth, buying a new car, a house in an upscale neighborhood, and throwing lavish parties. Suddenly Dr. Ling arrived, introducing himself as a member of the theosophical community with a keen interest in ancient artifacts, particularly the teapot. John was willing to listen to Dr. Ling, but Alice refused to part with the teapot that had transformed their lives. She warned that they would lose everything if they lost the teapot. Despite Dr. Ling's warning of imminent danger, Alice promptly expelled him. Later that night, their former landlord arrived at their doorstep in an inebriated state. He seized the teapot from Alice's embrace, intending to destroy it with his car. Miraculously, the teapot remained unscathed. They immediately pursued Dr. Ling, inquiring why the teapot couldn't be destroyed. Dr. Ling elucidated that the teapot was indestructible but would gradually corrupt its owner. The more it was used, the less it would yield money, compelling the owner to commit crimes for profit. Nevertheless, Alice remained obstinate, asserting their inherent goodness and unwavering control. Just as John and Alice were enjoying their lavish lifestyle, those two rabbis showed up again out of the blue. They demanded the teapot money, but when Alice offered the teapot, they declined. They preferred the money they had stolen from Alice's closet, claiming they knew the consequences of holding the teapot. Alice was furious, saying, "They turned themselves into money-making machines, taking all the pain from that couple to get money." Then when Alice saw a skateboarder fall, the teapot vibrated and spat out money. Alice immediately understood they could use others' pain to make money. She told John right away, and they started attending events that caused people pain, like MMA fights and others. Turns out Dr. Ling was right. The teapot started making Alice evil. While driving, Alice said, "This world is filled with pain." Then when she saw a homeless person crossing the street, Alice actually tried to hit them. John quickly took the wheel and saved the person. This enraged Alice towards John. They argued and Alice almost got hit by a car. Oh, the teapot started spitting out money. Apparently, the teapot enjoyed psychological pain. Curious, Alice asked John to reveal a long-hidden secret. John recounted a school party where Alice ignored him, leading him to kiss another girl. To this day, when he kisses Alice, he still pictures that girl's face. Oh, the teapot vibrated intensely again. It turns out, the teapot adored Alice's emotional agony. The next day, John and Alice went crazier. They engaged in psychological warfare against each other, divulging their secrets. After inflicting emotional wounds, they agreed to cease harming themselves and instead target others. They caused distress to their neighbors and John's former boss. They even contemplated harming their own sibling, but fortunately, Alice had a change of heart. Upon returning home, John told Alice, "You're a good person, you know." However, Alice responded, "Regret impedes our progress." Alice has an evil plan. She wants to make $1 million by hurting bad people. John feels they have enough money, but Alice won't listen. She says, "There are pedophiles and drug dealers in the playground. If we kill them, we're helping society and getting money from the teapot." John disagrees, but he can't refuse Alice. They start digging graves. John starts feeling guilty. Even though that person is a drug dealer, we would still be murderers. But Alice says, "You're a coward. I'll do it myself." John was disappointed, so he went straight to Dr. Ling for help. Dr. Ling said, "It's too late. Even if I take the teapot, the outcome will remain the same. Alice must be willing to release the teapot herself." After Alice finished her shower, she looked in the mirror and felt terrified. She panicked, ran to the bedroom, and found John staring at the teapot. John said, "If you want to kill someone, I'll jump from here. It's the same as you killing someone." Alice panicked, pleaded with John not to jump. But John wanted to teach Alice about regret. He immediately jumped out the window. Alice freaked out and ran downstairs to check on John. She looked really regretful. Suddenly John woke up. It seems like his lesson worked. Alice wanted to give the teapot to Dr. Ling. But that night they heard a noise from below. John checked it out and it turned out the teapot was stolen. The culprit was the landlord's son who was suspicious of the teapot. The next day, John and Alice checked Arnie's house. It was a mess, money scattered everywhere, and Arnie had harmed himself. Even his girlfriend. Turns out, the teapot possessed perilous powers. Alice and John wanted to retrieve the teapot, but Arnie and his girlfriend brandished pistols. Suddenly the two rabbis showed up armed as well. Chaos ensued, resulting in the demise of all involved. Alice, who had been hiding all this time, finally grasped the consequences of the teapot falling into the wrong hands. She finally understood why John had been so worried all along. They both promptly retrieved the teapot and handed it over to Dr. Ling. In the final scene, Dr. Ling finally took the teapot. He boarded a ship, headed back to China. He decided to bury the teapot at the bottom of the sea. He wanted the teapot to remain hidden forever, so no one could find and misuse it. This story concludes with Alice and John deciding to move on.